Okay, good evening. Thank you for joining me in a Real Bible Study. This is the Friday night edition, so Shabbat Shalom to you. Thank you for joining me. This will be uploaded to the Facebook page where you guys normally would watch this from. So, you want to continue from what we were talking about last week, which was the end time Bible prophecy, what you should know. And last week we took a look at one of the important or most misunderstood aspect of scriptures that the nations that would be participating, or the nations that are mentioned in scripture regarding end time Bible prophecy. So we took a look at descendants of Japheth, which is the Gentile nations, and we looked at their role regarding end times prophecy. So, according to our Strong's Concordance, H1471, Goy in Hebrew, a foreign nation, a troop of animals, heathen, nation, people. So, the word heathen is interchanged with the word Gentile. Anytime you look it up in scripture, the word heathen in Strong's H1417 also refers back to Gentiles. So, the word heathen refers to the Gentiles nation. So David, king of Judah, father of Solomon, said this. He says, "Why does the heathen or the Gentile rage and imagine a vain thing?" This is Psalms 2, verse 1. So even David looked at the Gentiles and always wondered, made a song about them. Why does the heathen or the Gentile rage, or why do they imagine a vain thing? For example, Nicholas Copernicus, he gave us he gave the world the globe. Then we have others with the evolution of thought, space exploration, going to the moon, also the pagan holidays that many people celebrate. Just coming off of one of the big ones that many people that profess a faith in Messiah, they say that it's his birthday. All these origins from Gentile nations. So even though the scripture clearly doesn't mention it, most people do it anyway, but they profess a belief in a Messiah that they claim they have a personal relationship with. Okay, let me get back here. So I won't be explaining anything about these holidays in the future, upcoming futures, to people, I guess, who profess a belief in a person they have never seen and whose words they clearly have not read in full, but claim they have a personal relationship with him. So I won't be doing that. If anyone has any questions regarding anything regarding that, I will take those questions personally, but I won't be speaking about these holidays. I've realized that the Messiah did say that the wheat and tears will grow together, and so we'll just wait until time reveals who they are. So the Messiah, again, this is what he says. "Thus says Yahuwah, learn not the way of the heathen or the Gentile. Be not dismayed at the signs of heaven." For example, the rainbow, full moon, eclipses. For the heathen or the Gentile are dismayed by what they see by them. That's a concern. It's alarming or brings fear or awestruck at them. Goes on to say, the prophet goes on to say that for the customs of the people are vain. For one cut a tree out of the forest, the work of his hands, the workman with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. So they decorate it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not. That's Jeremiah chapter 10. So the Most High gave Jeremiah a direct command to the house of Israel that they should not do the things that the heathen nations do. They should not follow, copy, emulate, imitate, reproduce any of those things. And this is what we have today. We live in a world where people don't have context into the world that they live in, or the history why they do these things. They just do it because, hey, it's not harming anyone, so we might as well do it, right? That's pretty much irrational of most people. Let me get back to my notes here. Excuse me. Okay, so we're looking at the Gentile nation and the role that they would play in the last day. So you have to know that the scripture never refers to people by race, but race is something that most people understand the world through. In the book of Acts chapter 17:26, he says, and he has made from one blood every nation of men to dwell on the face of the earth, and has determined their pre-appointed times and the boundaries of their dwelling. So the Most High created nations, not races. Race is the ideology that was invented by Gentiles as well. So here we have a biblical figure, descendants of Japheth, Tubal, a biblical figure mentioned in Genesis 10, is traditionally considered to be the ancestor of various groups, including the Caucasian Liberians, ancestors of modern Georgians, as well as Italians and Spanish. His descendants are often linked to the ancient tribes known as the Tiberian and associated with regions in modern-day Turkey and Madarian Peninsula. Okay, so even the Messiah had encounters with Gentiles as well. And he gave the disciples a command before he commissioned them out to go into the world to preach the Besorah, or the good news of the kingdom. It says here, these 12 Yahusha sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles and into the city of the Samaritans. Enter you not, but rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. House of Israel consists of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So these are descendants of the 12 tribes. These will be descendants of the 12 tribes that the Messiah sent his disciples to. This is who the message of the kingdom went out to initially. But as a majority, the Israelites did not accept the Messiah as the Mashiach, as was prophesied in scripture by the prophets. But the Messiah also mentioned this as well. Because of this, he prophesied this would happen to the house of Israel and house of Judah. He says, and they, that's Israel, shall fall by the mouth of the sword, and they shall be led captive, or slaves, into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down by the Gentiles till the times of the Gentiles begin. So this times of the Gentiles being fulfilled is very significant. So Messiah prophesied that his people would be led captive into all the nations of the earth. He prophesied this before it even happened. And he said that the land, Jerusalem, will be trodden down by Gentiles. This is from since the Babylonian captivity until the fulfilling of the end of the Gentiles' world domination. Let me get that scripture real quick. So the times of the Gentiles refers to the taking over. One second. Okay, so the times of the Gentiles refers to a period during Gentile nations having dominion over Jerusalem and the children of Israel, beginning with the Babylonian conquest. Started there. This time period will continue until the second coming of the Messiah, Yahusha, when the Gentile rule will end and Israel will be restored fully to rule here on earth. This is considered the 1,000-year reign of Messiah as king over the house of Israel. This is called the Messianic kingdom. So I'm going to take a read of that as well. This is all has to do with end time Bible prophecy, what you should know. Understand who the Messiah is married to, who is the bride of Messiah, of Mashiach. Very important. In mainstream Christianity, they say that the church, I'm not sure which one they're speaking of, but there's only one true bride. We'll take a look at the scriptures that supports that. So the Creator has one covenant, and anyone coming in must come through the actual Messiah of the Hebrews, not the one that Christianity propagates. It's two different ones. Christianity just came off a Messiah's birthday. The Messiah that we follow here at Real Bible Study, his birthday is not revealed in Scripture. Neither the prophets or the apostles made that known, but Christianity has a Messiah that celebrated his birthday a couple of days ago. So here's what Scripture tells us. It says, "Behold, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. 2. It will not be like the covenant I made with their fathers," that's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, "when I took them by the hand and led them out of the land of Egypt. A covenant they broke, though I was a husband to them." See that word husband? He was a husband to who? Israel. Israel is the bride, declares Yahuwah. "But this is the covenant I will make with those, the house of Israel and house of Judah, after those days, declares Yahuwah. I will put my law in their inward parts, in their heart." 1 second for me. Okay. Okay. So I will put my law in their minds and inscribe it on their hearts, and I will be their Elohim, and they will be my people. So say we see that right again. He's making a new covenant with both houses, the house of Israel and the house of Judah. He also declares this in Hebrews chapter 8, verses 12. I'm going to read that from the KJV. And it says, "For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel and the house of Judah after those days, says Yahuwah. I will put my laws in their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them Elohim, and they shall be a people. And they shall not teach everyone his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahuwah, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and iniquities or lawlessness will I remember no more. In that he says, a new covenant he has made, the first old. Now that which is decayed is old and ready to vanish away." So he's making a renewed covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. So you have to know what house, who you are assigned to. So this is the bride of the Messiah, and this is what should be understood in end time Bible prophecy, who the bride is, who the Messiah is coming for. I'm going to get to the Gentiles in a minute, but I must make this be understood. So, many times in a modern day Christian church, they will say, they are the bride. But that's a major problem, because when I ask them which denomination I'm referring to, since there's about 45,000 Protestant denominations, and this is worldwide. Let's read something right here from churchhistory.com. It says, Protestantism has its origins in the 16th century in Europe. The Reformation period began in 1517 with Martin Luther, who published a 95-page thesis in Wittenberg, Germany. Luther was thus the first to publicly criticize the Catholic Church, speaking out against indulgences, celibacy, and the papal states in particular. So indulgences was a term or a way to raise money, where someone would pay to have their sins removed. They would just donate money, called indulgences. So this way they would buy their way. This was the term, buy their way into heaven. So this was a practice in Roman Catholicism. And Martin Luther, a priest himself, a monk, he found that to be an issue, and he wrote 95 theses and nailed it to the door and made a public spectacle of the Catholic Church. And this is what started the Reformation movement. Okay. In addition, he later demanded in 3 extensive writings that the state take on further tasks in the social and educational sectors pertaining to church service. I'm having a little issue here with my screen. Give me 1 minute. Okay. So because the Roman Catholic Church at this time was the most dominant religion at that time, incapable of any type of reform. So during the 16th century, several clergymen throughout Europe took up Luther's concerns. A second reformation came from John Calvin in Basel and Geneva. A Protestant movement was also formed in Scotland. See, this is all happening in Europe. Starting with John Knox in the Netherlands, it was started by Jacob Propostitus in Antwerp. Protestantism did not mean turning away from the basic tenets of Christian doctrine, that's Catholic Church doctrine. Rather, the initial aim was to separate church and state, and to prohibit practices that were generally criticized, such as indulgences used to finance the church. So this is before tithes and offerings. It was not tithes and offerings at this point, but that came later. After a difficult phase, which even led to religious wars, the new faith finally established themselves parallel to the Roman Catholic Church. Finally, in order not to lose too many followers, the Roman Catholic Church itself had to carry on its own extensive reform. So they made some changes because a lot of people left the Roman Catholic authority into the Protestant. So this is the way why we have all these denominations, but they're pretty much the same. It's just one leg of the religion called Christianity. So here's another scripture you should keep in mind. It says, "For thy maker is thine husband, Yahuwah Sabaoth is his name, the Holy One of Israel. The Elohim of the whole earth shall he be called. That's Isaiah chapter 54, verses 5 through 6. Repeat that again. For thy maker, speaking exactly to Israel, for thy maker is thy husband, Yahuwah Sabaoth, is his name, and thy redeemer, the Holy One of Yasharel. The Elohim of the whole earth shall he be called. Okay, so the question is here. Sorry. So the question is here. So what about the Christian churches? Well, the majority practice a different faith. It's called replacement theology, where the church actually replaces the covenant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They become the stewards. And this started way back with the early church fathers. We're going to read about those in a minute. This is the belief that the Christian church, again, has become the new stewards of the covenant that Yahuwah made with Abraham, which passed on to Isaac, that passed on to Jacob or Jacob, whose name was later changed to Yasharel or Israel. So let's read the scripture right here. I think this is from Romans. And since Abraham and the other patriarchs were Kodesh or holy, their descendants will also be holy. Just as the entire batch of dough is holy because the portion given as an offering is holy. For if the roots of the tree are holy, the branches will be too. Verse 17. If some of the branches have been cut off, and you, this is the Gentiles, though are your wild olive shoots, have been grafted in among the others, and now share in the nourishing sap from the olive root. Boast not against the branches. So the branches here is speaking about Israel. The writer Paul is speaking to the Gentiles, that they don't boast against Israel. But if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. You will say then, branches were broken off. One second. Keep getting this issue here. One second. Okay. It says, verse 18, boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. You will say then, branches are broken off that I might be grafted in. That is correct. Verse 20. They were broken off because of unbelief. Like I just mentioned a while ago, that the Israelites did not accept the Messiah as the Mashiach. So because of unbelief, they were broken off so the Gentiles could be grafted in. But you stand by belief. Do not be arrogant, but tremble. For if Elohim did not spare the natural branches, he won't spare you either. This is the book of Romans chapter 11, 16 through 21. So the Most High does not play favorites, not like man. So because Israel did not accept, as far as a majority, accept Yahusha as their Messiah, the Mashiach, they were broken off, and Gentiles came in, and they came in a multitude, and later on would hijack the faith and take it down a path and create what we have today called Christianity. So because Christianity is a religion of tears, many who claim faith in a person they have not seen will miss true end-time prophecy because they relied on outside religious influences to dictate to them what the scripture says versus searching the scriptures for themselves. So here's what you need to do. You need to ask the person who's teaching you the scriptures. And these are two simple questions. They're not very difficult. They're not deep. Who are the Gentiles today? And who are the 144,000 of Revelation 12? These two questions you need to ask anyone who you're listening to on a consistent basis. This will tell you everything you need to know. These two questions is the equivalent to the marker that a cashier uses to mark on a bill to see whether it's counterfeit or not. Those two questions. Ask anyone who you're listening to consistently. Who are the Gentiles today? And who are the 144,000 in Revelation chapter 7? So we're on end time Bible prophecy. And this is what you should know. Number one, deception would be everywhere. And most people never consider the fact that what they're hearing may not be fully truth, but partial or omitted. For instance, this guy here, Martin Luther, he had a problem with some of the books that were mentioned in scripture. Let's see if I could pull that up real quick. He had a problem with the book of James, initially the book of Jude, the book of Revelation. Just imagine that he had problems with these books. So imagine that if those books, also the book of Hebrews. So that's the book of James, the book of Hebrews, the book of Revelations, and the book of Jude, these 4 books. So what if these books were not allowed, just like the other books that they disallowed? What if he didn't have these books? He would only have, if he had his way, he would only have 66 books today. And then if someone like me come and said, hey, we have the book of Jude here and the book of Hebrews, he would say, no, those books are not those books are not recognized. They are not scriptural. And this is what has happened over centuries, where men like Luther and others interjected themselves, making themselves the stewards of the faith, what should be read and what shouldn't be read, what is considered scriptural and what is not considered. And this is how most people have been led astray to believe in a faith that the Messiah did not create. Hence the reason you won't find the word Christianity anywhere in the scripture, but it's a separate and most influential religion in the world. 2.5 billion people subscribe to a faith that the Messiah never mentioned by name. Excuse me. So that's the first thing. Deception would be everywhere. In the book of Revelation chapter 12, it mentions that, from verses 7, that the devil, the old serpent, also called the dragon and the devil, who leads the world astray, who deceives the whole world. So this is a given, that most people are deceived, or would be deceived, if they are not in the word or understand the world from a scriptural point of view, not a secular. So here's everything that the Messiah said, Yahushua said, and he warned about it. Matityahu chapter 24, he says, take heed, let no man deceive you. Very important that you know that men will deceive you. So in order not to be deceived, you have to know what the Messiah says. And that comes by reading and studying his word. Verse 11 of that same book, Matthew, said, many false prophets or teachers shall arise and shall, not might or could, but they shall deceive many. On the extreme part of that is this past week, I think last week, there was some news clip. Some guy in Africa claimed to be Noah, and he's building some ark, and that a flood is coming. And he had a lot of people believe in him, believe it or not. Now, why you might find that is funny The other subtle part is that many people believe in a pre-tribulation rapture, that the church, whatever that means, is going to disappear in the day of tribulation. A lot of people believe that and they think that's actually scriptural, but it is not. So that's another thing to be aware of. Okay, so right now we're going to stop right there. Just wanted to get those points across. Understanding the Gentile nations, understanding some of the prophecies that is in Scripture, and I'm going to read a few of them according to what the prophets mention pertaining to Israel. As the Messiah said, I did not come to destroy the law or the prophets, but to fulfill. And before one tittle of one yud of the law or the prophets should pass away, heaven and earth will pass away first. So you and I know heaven and earth has not passed away. So these prophecies have to come to pass. So here is one of them. I'm going to read a few for you. It says, but I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries where I have driven them, and bring them back to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase. I will set up shepherds over them who will feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed. Nor shall they be lacking, says Yahuwah. Behold, the days are coming, says Yahuwah, that I will raise to David a branch of righteousness. A king shall reign and prosper, and execute judgment and righteousness in the earth. In his days Judah shall be saved, and Israel will dwell safely. Now this is his name by which he will be called, Yahuwah our righteousness. Therefore, behold, the days are coming, says Yahuwah, that they shall no longer say, as Yahuwah lives, who brought up the children of Israel from the land of Egypt, but as Yahuwah lives, who brought up and led the descendants of the house of Israel from the north country, and from all the countries where I have driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. That's Jeremiah chapter 23, verses 3 through 8. So you see, the Most High is going to do something that he did before. This is called the second Exodus. He said no longer will he be remembered for the first Exodus, when he brought them out of the land of Egypt, but he will be remembered for taking them from all the countries where he has scattered them. The word that came to Jeremiah from Yahuwah, saying, thus says Yahuwah Elohai of Israel, saying, write in a book for yourself all the words that I have spoken to you. For behold, the days are coming, says Yahuwah, that I will bring back from captivity my people Israel and Judah, says Yahuwah, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. Now these are the words that Yahuwah spoke concerning Israel and Judah. So you always see Israel and Judah, northern tribe, northern kingdom, southern kingdom. So Israel consists of kingdoms, Israel and Judah. For thus says Yahuwah, sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout among the chiefs of the nations. Proclaim, give praise, and say, O Yahuwah, save your people, the remnant of Israel. Behold, I will bring them from the north country, and gather them from the ends of the earth, among them the blind and the lame, the woman with child and the one who labors with child together. A great throng shall return there. They shall come with weeping and with supplications. I will lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters in a straight way, in which they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim my firstborn. Hear the word of Yahuwah, O nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, he who scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as a shepherd does the flock. For Yahuwah has redeemed Jacob and ransomed him from the hand of one stronger than he. That's Jeremiah 31, verses 7 through 11. Afterwards, the children of Israel shall return and seek Yahuwah, their Elohim, and David, their king. That's the Messiah. Yahusha is referenced here as David, their king. They shall fear Yahuwah and his goodness in the latter days. That's Hosea chapter 3, verses 5. Here's another one. This is one I read earlier, so this is to give you context. This is Luke chapter 21, verse 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword and be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem will be trampled by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So Gentiles will be in the land until their time is up. Again, the word of Yahuwah came to me saying, as for you, son of man, take a stick for yourself and write on it, for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write on it, for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions. Then join them one to another for yourself into one stick, and they will become one in your hand. And when the children of the people speak to you, saying, will you not show us what you mean by these? Say to them, thus says Adonai Yahuwah, surely I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel, his companions, and I will join them with it, with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they will be one in my hand. And the sticks on which you write will be in your hand before their eyes. That's Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 15 to 20. Then say to them, thus says Adonai Yahuwah, surely I will take the children of Israel from among the nations, whither they have gone, and I will gather them from every side and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land on the mountains of Israel. And one king shall be king over them all. That is Yahusha. They shall no longer be two nations, nor shall they ever be divided into two kingdoms again. They shall not defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will deliver them from all their dwelling places in which they have sinned, and will cleanse them. Then they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim. That's Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 23. Oh, there's more. And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel and such as have escaped from the house of Jacob will never again depend on him who defeated them, not the Gentile nations, but will depend on Yahuwah, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. The remnant will return, the remnant of Jacob, to the mighty El. For though your people, O Israel, be as the sand of the sea, a remnant of them will return. So it's not all of Israel, it's a remnant. The destruction decreed shall overflow with righteousness, for Yahuwah Elohim of hosts will make a determined end in the midst of all the land. That's Isaiah 10, chapter 10, 20 to 23. For Yahuwah will have mercy on Jacob, and will choose Israel, and settle them in their own land. The strangers will be joined with them, that's the other nations, and they will cling to the house of Jacob. Then people will take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel will possess them for servants and maids in the land of Yahuwah. They will take them captive, whose captives they were, and they will rule over the oppressors. So there's going to be a reversal here. So those who put Israel in captivity, they will be serving Israel in the kingdom of the Most High. Let me read it again for you. For Yahuwah will have mercy on Jacob and will choose Israel and settle them in their own land. The strangers will be joined with them, and they will cling to the house of Jacob. Then people will take them and bring them to their place. The house of Israel will possess them as servants. So Israel will possess them as for servants and maids in the land of Yahuwah. They will take them captive, whose captives they were, and rule over their oppressors. That's Isaiah chapter 14, 1 to 2. Here's another one. Thus says Yahuwah Elohim, when I have gathered the house of Israel from the peoples among whom they are scattered, and am hallowed in them in the sight of the Gentiles, then they will dwell in their own land, which I give to my servant Jacob. And they will dwell safely there, build houses and plant vineyards. Yes, they will dwell securely when I execute judgments on all around them who despised them. Then they shall know that I am Yahuwah, their Elohim. Ezekiel chapter 28, 25 to 26. For behold, in those days and at that time, when I bring back the captives of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will enter into judgment with them there on account of my people, my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations. They have also divided up my land. That's Joel chapter 3, verse 1 to 2. Let me read the last one. Thus says Yahuwah, keep justice and do righteousness, for my salvation is about to come, and my righteousness to be revealed. Blessed is the man who does this, and the Son of Man who lays hold on it, who keeps from defiling my Shabbats, and keep his hands from doing any evil. Do not let the son of the foreigner who has joined himself to Yahuwah speak, saying, Yahuwah has utterly separated us from his people. Nor let the eunuch say, here I am, a dry tree. But thus says Yahuwah to the eunuchs who keep my Shabbats, and choose to please me, and hold fast to my covenant, even to them will I give in my house and within my walls a place and a name better than the sons and daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. Also, the sons of the foreigner who join themselves to Yahuwah to serve him, and who love the name of Yahuwah to be his servants. Everyone who keeps from defiling my Shabbats and hold fast my covenants, even them I will bring to my holy mountain, and will make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices will be accepted on my altars. For my house shall be called a house of prayer for all nations. Yahuwah Elohim, who gathers the outcast of Israel, says, I will gather to him others besides those who are gathered to him. She's going to gather Israel and strangers who loves the name of Yahuwah. Okay, so right there, I want to thank you for stopping by and watching this brief Real Bible study, what you should know, End Times Bible Prophecy, what you should know. So Elohim willing, tomorrow morning we will continue with part 4 of this series. Thank you, and shalom for now.